Woj, what can you tell us about how the Sixers front office came to the decision to fire Doc Rivers?
Sage, I sense this organization was really torn yesterday in the first 24 hours after that Game 7 loss. But ultimately this morning reached a decision that they were going to dismiss Doc Rivers. 3 years, 3 trips to the Eastern Conference semifinals. The sense within that organization all year was that for Doc Rivers' future, he would need to break through to at least the conference finals, and got right to the brink again. Game 7 against the Boston team that I think most would agree is deeper and more talented. But ultimately, this is an organization with a window right now of trying to win a championship around Joel Embiid that is shrinking with every year. James Harden looking at the very real possibility of free agency, bringing him back to the Houston Rockets. And this has been an offseason where you have seen 2 recent championship coaches and Mike Budenholzer in Milwaukee, Nick Nurse in Toronto, and then, of course, Monty Williams in Phoenix, who resurrected really one of the worst franchises in the league. And he is fired after a 64-win season a year ago. So Doc Rivers has fallen victim to what we have seen as a pattern in the NBA, starting to look more like the NFL, much shorter shelf lives for head coaches.
And in particular, the teams that we're talking about here, the coaches that you mentioned, Woj, I mean, these are some of the best teams in the NBA who are right there at the top of their conference standings at the end. A lot still to break down in Philadelphia, and it's early. But right now, possible replacements in Philadelphia. Which direction do you think they might try to go as far as strategic coaches?
Sage, I'm told among the candidates that the Sixers plan to talk to Mike Budenholzer, Nick Nurse, Monty Williams, three high-level coaches who lost jobs this offseason, and also Mike D'Antoni, who Daryl Morey, the Sixers president, that was his coach in Houston. Of course, he was also with James Harden with the Rockets for several years. They had a very successful partnership there. I believe D'Antoni is going to be part of this mix, but the Sixers now join the marketplace with Toronto, Milwaukee, Phoenix, Detroit, who are all looking for head coaches. It is a very competitive space right now among teams trying, especially contending teams, who are trying to find a coach to help get them over the top or back over the top.
Yeah, some very desirable jobs out there, to say the very least. Once again, though, this is the breaking news that Woj reported. Doc Rivers fired as the head coach of the Philadelphia 76ers. Woj, thank you for the latest. Jay?
Thank you, Sage.
Sage, with the Game 7 loss to the Celtics in the conference semis, Doc Rivers fell to 6-10 in Game 7s as a head coach, and his 5th straight loss in a Game 7. That is twice as many Game 7 losses as the next closest head coach in Pat Riley, who went 6-5 during his career in such games. For more, we bring in 8-time NBA All-Star Vince Carter. Vince, what was your initial reaction to hearing the news that the Sixers parted ways with Doc Rivers?
Somewhat surprising, Jay. I mean, I didn't like it. I understand it, but I didn't like it. I thought Doc did a very good job with this team this year, with what he was dealt, and with the trade and missing guys, and I think that he turned something that was kind of questionable into a second-round exit. And yes, you have Joel Embiid, and yes, you have James Harden, and the way it works is if your team doesn't perform and underachieves, usually the coach is the first to go. We talked to nauseum yesterday about the 2 superstars not really having a great Game 7, and with that being said, he's fired. But I thought he had the eyes and ears of his team. I thought he still had his locker room. Guys were attentive when he talked to him on the court, and that's a positive thing. So I think when your coach does not have the eyes and ears or loses his locker room is when you tend to move on. I think this is an opportunity where you just tweak your lineup and see what happens then, but that wasn't the case.
So tweak your lineup. You don't like it, but you understand it. How would you have tweaked the lineup and moved forward with Doc Rivers had they gone a different direction?
Well, of course, you continue to add shooting. You add shooting, and you have to figure out what you're going to do with James Harden. And the first conversation, in my opinion, is with Joel Embiid. You got to get your a core group. Well, you want to keep your core group together, and from there, you start adding pieces that make sense. You know, you want guys that can spread the floor. You know, that you need another voice in there. I thought P.J. Tucker was one of those voices, but you got to bring another voice in it, another veteran. I'm going to always vouch for the veterans because I think they're so important in a locker room for their voice and for motivation, because there's some situations when, you know, Joel Embiid kind of wasn't the aggressive MVP player that we saw. So you need somebody to continue to get in his ear and push and motivate. So here we are.
All right. Here we are indeed. Much more from Vince Carter later during the Sports Center. Vince, thank you so much.
And here we go. Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals tips off tonight in the Mile High City, where the top-seeded Nuggets host the Lakers. And we begin with the team that has really defied the odds to be here in the conference finals. We cannot forget how the Lakers began the season, an awful 2-10 record, becoming the 4th team to reach the conference finals after being 8 games or more under 500 during the regular season. They're also the first team to climb out of that hole since the 83-84 Suns. It's really remarkable. LeBron continues to lead the charge, 38 years old, making his 12th conference finals appearance with a 10-1 record in this round. Only Kareem and Bill Russell have made more trips to the conference finals. And the Lakers have good history against Denver in the postseason. They're actually undefeated, 7-0 in playoff series all time. It's the most lopsided head-to-head playoff matchup between any two franchises in NBA history. As we say hello now to our Lakers reporter for more on the Lakers. Hello to Dave McMenamin, who was there front and center 3 years ago when the Lakers took home that NBA championship down in the Orlando bubble. And that was when LeBron and AD led the way to their 17th championship for the Los Angeles Lakers. They're the only two guys left from that team, though, Dave. So as they get set for game 1, the elder statesman, LeBron James, what is his message right now to his younger teammates?
Sage, this is LeBron James's 12th conference finals of his career. Many of his teammates who are much younger, it's going to be their first. And he's already expressed to the locker room the message of, you guys all play video games, right? And as you progress in a video game from level to level, it gets harder and harder. And that's much the same way in the playoffs. You go from series to series, it gets harder and harder. But he doesn't want that message to come with any extra pressure. So he's also been telling the guys, go out there and enjoy it, have fun. It's just basketball. You've been doing that your entire lives, and you're here for a reason. Now, he believes, and he's telling his teammates, we have an opportunity here to be great, and you want to be able to showcase your abilities at the Western Conference Finals and show why you're supposed to be there. But at the end of the day, you need to not be swallowed up by the pressure of the moment. Enjoy it, and that will be their best chance of moving forward and getting their first NBA Finals appearance for many of his teammates.
I mean, absolutely incredible. The odds that they have defied to be right here. And by the way, you know this, LeBron James has now won a total of 41 playoff series. That's the most by any player in NBA history. How big would number 42 be, considering how this season began? That's Dave McMenamin with the latest on the Lakers. Now over to Jay on the Nuggets.
Yes, Sage, as we shift gears, franchise that has never made a trip to the NBA Finals. Denver's run of 46 straight seasons without an NBA Finals appearance is the 4th longest active such drought in the league after the Kings, Hawks, and Clippers. In the conference semis against Phoenix, Nikola Jokic put in work, averaging a 30-point triple-double in that series. The only other players to do that in a playoff series are Russell Westbrook and this guy named LeBron. And like the Lakers, Denver's yet to lose at home this postseason, going 6-0 in Ball Arena versus 2-3 away from it. Game 1 win would give the Nuggets their longest home win streak ever to start a postseason. Young Masuk is covering the Nuggets. He joins us now. This is a rematch of the 2020 Western Conference Finals in the Orlando bubble, a series the Lakers won 4-1 and that went on to win the 2020 title. But what is Denver saying about this year's series?
Jay, it's funny. I think Nikola Jokic is ready to move on from the bubble. Whenever he's asked about what did he learn from that experience against the Lakers inside the bubble, he's like, nothing really. In fact, yesterday he said, I don't remember it. He's probably not going to really recognize these Lakers outside of Anthony Davis and LeBron James either, because the last time the Nuggets faced the Lakers was January 9th. Patrick Beverley